Well, hello and welcome to this week's Material Musings. This month, welcome to the month of November, but this month what we're going to be doing is looking at pieces of art, and I'm going to look at some of the techniques that I've used and show you basically how to incorporate them in your own pieces. I'm not going to like there's a sculptural canvas piece up there, so we're not going to go from start to finish, but I'm going to take one aspect. So in today's aspect, what we're looking at is pieces of work that look at the use of mixed media. So we've got clay, we've got fabric, we've got cardboard, and in some cases some pieces have been resin added and other supplies and materials. So I hope you enjoy. It's really just sometimes you're interested, or some people do ask, well, what do you use, how do you use that? And so this gets you to understand just certain aspects of a piece, and I'll talk about the piece and what it means for me. For somebody else it might mean something totally different. They might see something totally different in it and experience it differently. And it's really focused on the use of combining fabric in different ways. These pieces have not been slow stitched at all. I do still now use a lot of slow stitching in some of my canvas pieces, but these earlier works are ones in which I found other ways in adhering them to the canvas and then building on top of them. So I'm excited to share some of the pieces, and I'd love to know what kind of materials that you combine if you do mixed media. And in next week's video, what we'll actually be doing at the end of me talking about the work, we'll be doing a small exercise and looking at how we add the piece, how we can, even like with cardboard, there's so many ways in which you can use it, and then when you distress it and do all the other things to it, you can make a really nice impact on the work. So without further ado, let's start. We'll get to the table and we'll look at three pieces. They came to a troubled world, home, and heart's reflection. So let's go. Okay, so we're looking at some of the artwork that I've been doing over time. It's over years, and as I say, what I wanted to focus on is some of the materials used in the pieces. And whilst I would say, in terms, just get myself comfortable. In terms of slow stitching, I would say my slow stitching journey, I say maybe 7 years, but I was actually working with fabric, either creating dolls or, well, I guess slow stitch dolls, but dolls with in this kind of way. So it's a bit longer than that, but it's to look at, as a mixed media artist, I want to combine a range of supplies and materials, and that is the way in which I would express myself. And so this particular piece is called They Came to a Troubled World, and it so fits in the situation and circumstances that we are living in at the moment. But it's also to remind us that within each of us is a gift, and we have to express that gift, because that gift could be the thing that could change events, could impact people, could bring peace in certain minds and hearts, can make somebody feel that they're not alone. There's a whole range of emotions that come when you not only look at a piece of art, experience a piece of art, and or go into exhibitions, you might see pieces that really kind of hit you and really speak to you. And if you can buy it, you can. If not, you get the postcard or the print. So if we look at some of the materials used in here, we have fabric, which is the first one. And there are different types of fabrics that give you different types of effects, which is something I experimented with. And on this piece we can see a variety of different fabrics, which has given us different effects, more kind of dull effects, or more kind of sheen when I've added the paint and the metallic paint. It's given me a nice sheen, and then I've kind of played about with some of the stains that you can buy, and we've got a kind of the blue here. I wanted it to almost be like the Three Wise Men, but there are 2 women and 1 man here. Or they could all be women. And then we've got cardboard. I think this was one of the first pieces that I played around with cardboard, and it's also about texture for me. I love getting the different textures on my pieces. And so as you can see, this fabric is again coarser. It's got a more it's a bigger weave to it, so it's given us a different feel. And then this is almost like cheesecloth, and we've got another kind of feel, and then we've got some fabric here. And then I've used clay as well, so their faces are clay. And then I've tried to it gives you a 3D effect. I guess if I was doing this piece again, learning what I know now about working with certain fabrics, I would maybe approach it slightly different, ever so slightly different. I would want this to be more bulkier. And so, just by adding more fabric and building it up. And this piece was an intuitive piece that I created. It's quite weighty, but I feel it says a lot, and it also reminds me the colours. So the golds, the silver, there's bits of silver in there, but just the colours, that kind of the earthy kind of tones as well. It just reminds me of it's the idea of having to peel back and get to the real root of everything. And they came to a troubled world with the gifts, talents and abilities that they had to make an impact on. And that is the feeling behind this piece. So I had done 2 pieces very similar. One is in its home, and yeah, all of the pieces are looking for their forever home. This piece is 11 by 13.5. Okay, so let's look at the next piece. This next piece now, move that there. This next piece now on canvas is called Home, and I'll let you see. Let's just come up close and then you can get a good look. So she is expressing the feeling of being home. So when we look at the piece, we see that, well, in all of the ones where I do faces, I start off with it's a clay face. And then we've got a variety of different fabrics. We've got some printed fabric here that I've used, and use the same technique in terms of applying like a fabric solution that hardens the fabric. And then we've got some clay raised bits. This is symbolizing the sun. And then we've got coconuts, so obviously she's in a warm country. She's dressed, she's quite covered, so she's coming from a place that is a lot colder. Now, it doesn't necessarily have to be a physical place, it could be an internal place that she's now come to, and then she's going to shed off that which she brought with her thinking she was going to be in the same situation, but she's actually had a feeling of release. And I've also used different aspects on here. So we've got the fabric, we've got paper, we've got cardboard, just to give us, you know, movement in the piece in terms of the texture. And we can see land behind her. She's standing on land, and her arms are flung up in the air in that expression of, I've made it, I'm finally here. And that's sometimes what being in a warm climate can do for people. It can just make you feel like you're free. I used to remember when I was at uni, and during the holidays, so you'd get like 3 months, and there'd just be a freeing feeling. I think we'd break up in like May and come back like 3rd of September or something, and sometimes it was October. So depending on what you were doing in terms of your modules, you could have been out for like 3-4 months, and then if summer's just rolling in, there is that kind of free feeling of, oh my gosh, I don't have to commute and all of that. And this is a 12 by 12 piece. And then I also experimented with embellishments, and we've got the beads and kind of jewelry bits, findings. And this almost is almost like, it's like one of those games, and as you're playing the game, you collect things and you put it in your backpack. And it's almost like these things she's brought with her, some of them she's going to shed, so she's maybe not going to be dressed so like fully as time goes on. But in terms of renewal and replenishment, these fabrics each have a history and a story. What she's wearing has a story, has, you know, when you think about the region that it came from, the weavers that might have woven it or dyed it or stamped the design on it with wax, and it's that kind of feeling I get. So she's brought with her into the new, but she's come with her toolkit. And the kind of significance of, say, the coconut trees, like it's full of fruit. So she's somebody who's into like taking care of the land, being near the sea, being in nature, and that freeing feeling, being in the sun, and she's radiating with there's gold radiating from her. So when I create the pieces, it's not necessarily with that story in mind. It's as I'm expressing, the piece is expressing back, and it's just like, oh, this is where it needs to go. So this piece is called Home. Okay, and this is the final piece. You can see my Christmas lights. And this is called A Heart's Reflection. We've still got the fabric, we've got the clay figures, and then we have a layer of, it's enamel paint, and let's see if you can come in a bit. Yeah, so we've got that paint, and then I've covered it with the resin. And for me, this piece, again, playing about with fabric, playing about with different materials to express a feeling of, it's, as I say, it's called A Heart's Reflection, and it's what's within that needs to come out. And when you look, this is a mirror here. It's like when you look in the mirror, what do you see? What do you see of, what do you see in the sense that, you know, when people look at us, they perceive certain things and they feel that they pick up certain things. So you might pick up a particular energy from somebody, but it's for you to always be self-reflecting and saying, what is it that I am putting out there? What, you know, some people wear their rage on their face, or they're always angry all the time and frowning. And so what is my demeanor, and how is that impacting on my day-to-day, on what I say I want to put out and what I'm actually putting out? Because, you know, what's in the heart's not going to lie. But you can say, oh no, it's different, but what you actually feel could be something totally different. And it's for you to kind of reconcile the two and understand what is your heart saying about certain situations. It's about intuitiveness and being in touch with your intuitive side. So yeah, the pieces are, you know, when we bring together fabric and bring together different materials, and they are all to find a way to express a particular emotion or a particular feeling, or something that you may have, say, experienced, or just something that needs to be, you know, put out there, but necessarily you can't necessarily express that with words. And sometimes things don't necessarily, I don't have to say this is what happened and this is what happened and then that happened. Somebody could look at it and feel the sentiment of what is being expressed from the piece itself. And that's the beauty of for me, being a mixed media artist, that I can incorporate all of the materials and find different ways to use them, and to bless somebody else. So I hope that has been insightful, and you even maybe think about, you know, playing and experimenting with different supplies and art supplies, and, you know, think about some mixed media projects that you might want to get yourself involved in, because it's a really lovely way to express yourself, basically. So as I said in the beginning, in the introduction, we are going to be looking at ways in which I've taken, you know, fabric and used it in different ways. And I hope to spark something for you that you might think, oh, I want to try that. So for the month of November, we're going to look at different aspects of using fabric, stitching, using other materials in our work. And in some of the weeks, we're actually then going to take some of the examples that I've used and have a play with them, because somebody might really want to use cardboard but not even know where to start. So we would take something like that and just a small aspect of a larger piece, and say, okay, we're going to work with that. Okay, so I look forward to seeing you next time. Do leave a comment, let me know what you're working on, what kind of fabrics and what kind of textures, materials do you use. Please do leave a comment and join me. Remember to subscribe if you haven't already, and click on the notification bell. Okay, you take care for now.